Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not a scholar. That is not an apology. It's not a threat either. It's a bit of a clarification of what is coming. What I will try to do, what I do these days, I try to put into action those unattainable goals. I try to develop tools for schools. I try to work with schools on how we can be, they can be a Catholic dialogue school. It's something that is at the beginning of a process. What I would like to do today with you is start from an example. And I have there on the left an empty lunchbox. And it happened in an Antwerp primary school where a couple of years ago during Ramadan, the teachers in the restaurant noticed that there was quite a fuss in one of the corners and that pupils were enjoying themselves. When taking a closer look, they saw that a number of pupils had empty lunch boxes with them. And of course, the teachers, being white middle class, which unfortunately is often a reality in our schools, they wondered about why empty lunch boxes. And they wondered did this have to do with Ramadan, with people, with young people participating and not wanting to eat nor drink? And why then would these pupils bring along empty boxes? Or maybe the box was not empty when they left at home in the morning and they emptied their box on the way to school. And maybe they did that because of some peer pressure. So there's a lot of questions at that moment going on. And then the problem or the challenge, let's say, for the school is, how are we going to deal with this? What are we going to do? And we're always tempted to look at, when you take the image on the right, to look at what we see. And I put their attitude, it's not good, it should have been behavior, but that's what we look at. We look at behavior and we react often against that behavior. That's what we do with language as well. We stick to what we see or what we hear, and that's where we react. And what we really should do is dig a bit deeper. What are the thoughts, what are the feelings, and underneath, what are the needs of these children? Now, that was not the first reaction of the school. The school said, what is going on here? And they took some information, and in the end, maybe a week or a couple of days later, a letter left for the parents and the teachers saying, well, from now on, we are going to deal with this problem like this and this and this and this. And the reaction was very, very heavy. The teachers were not happy with the school's reaction. The parents said, what are you interfering with? The pupils didn't like it. And it left the management of the school, the headmasters, the team that had found this solution, which was a good solution, really, but it left them very, very disappointed. And they said, next year we're going to have the same problem. We have to find other ways to deal with this. And that's when they decided to start to dig, to listen to the children. What is it that the children want? Why would children age 11, 12 not eat and drink for a month? Why would they do that? Unless that they want to be part of something that they consider very, very important. That means that they are no longer children, but that they become adults, that they can take part when the sun has gone down, that they can take part in something with the family that gives them a feeling, a sense of belonging to something that is bigger. So it's about a need. Once that you understand that, you can look for other solutions. And they listened to the teachers, and the teachers' first reaction was, well, we're not going to give in to that, are we? The teachers needed instruction. They needed an explanation. How does this work? So they contacted the Inspectorate of Islam. And he said, well, it's about a lot more things than just not eating and drinking. This is also about being a good Muslim, being a good person. We try to be honest these days, honest people. We try not to bully other people. We try not to be dishonest. And the school said, well, these are important values. We have these values in our very own school. And the inspectorate also said, and it's not something that you expect of children just from one day to another. This is something that you practice. You don't expect from a 12-year-old that he does not eat nor drink. The weather we've had the past few days. It's something that you can practice. And then they listened to the parents, and they got very, very different responses from parents. They invited all the parents. It took some time. And they talked to the parents, and the parents said, well, we want this and we want that. And they were not all alike, of course. But in the end, there was some solution that was proposal that was put forward, and that's the way they did it. And looking to needs brings us to what we understand by Catholic dialogue school. It's crossroads. In some of our schools, Catholic schools, we have more than 90% of the pupils who are of the students who are Muslim or of another faith, or no faith at all, whatever. The thing is, how do we deal with it? And then is this Catholic dialogue school idea, is that a label that you put on the front door of a school where you say, well, this is 100% Catholic dialogue school guaranteed? No, it isn't. That's not what we want it to be. What we are looking for is this dialogue. And when my boss says that we have to become better Christians, or that Catholic dialogue school makes us become better Christians and better Muslims and better whatever, he means that we can achieve this through this dialogue. And this dialogue is how this Catholic dialogue school is made clear. And it means that the dialogue is faith-based. That's the difference with my colleague. We can make it faith-based. And it's not faith-aimed. We no longer go for souls. That's not what we want to do. And the dialogue shows, and this example very, very, very clearly shows, that in the end, the dialogue is often more important than the outcome. Because here, what a number of parents said to the principal or the headmaster, whatever you want, a number of parents said, well, Madam, we do not in particular agree with the solution you have come forward with. This is not what we would have chosen, what we prefer. But the fact that you have invited us, that we have had this dialogue in the school, that you have made time for it, that you have invited people, that you have invited us, but also the teachers, and that together we have been in this dialogue, makes us accept the solution that came out of it. So the solution is secondary. The dialogue is primary. And what does the above example then show for me? It says that religion does play a role in the development of identity of children. You accept it. It is there, you accept it, and from an other religious point of view, you work into it. Pupils, teachers also, parents, everybody concerned. What does this do with teachers? It holds them a mirror. Many of our teachers in Catholic schools, they are a bit colorless. They say, leave me. I do not really want to go into this. It's private. Accepting that you go into it is holding a mirror. When my colleague, I have only one. Well, I have more colleagues, but only one who is a Muslim. And these past weeks, on a number of occasions, because she's there, and I can see her suffer when it's 35 degrees outside. So you do talk about it. And she held me a mirror. That's the way these things work. That's the way it should work in schools as well. That's how we get into contact with one another. And for the same reason, when I ask her, why do you choose for a Catholic school? There may be equally good reasons to choose for a Geo school. Then she says, because in a Catholic school, the presence of God is made possible, not just in those courses, but during the day, all the time. That's her reason for making that choice. So I do think that when you look at religion as a public good, and I think that that Elias and myself, that we a bit differ in how we look at education and instruction. For me, it's all about education. It's a means, it's a way of understanding the world, of recognizing the good in the world. And so it's also citizenship building through that religious starting point. And not only in a number of classes, but in history, in literature, geography, economics. A couple of months ago, I heard an example of a teacher who was teaching resistance in the Second World War. And after 10 minutes, there was a lot of fuss going on in his classroom, because one of the students had said, "What's the difference with ISIS?" And so teachers in general, that's why we become teachers, we all have much to do with values and norms. And so that teacher was absolutely, he didn't know what was going on. Maybe he understood, but at that moment it was all so emotional that it became a very, very hard discussion. And the thing is, and I see Professor Van Avermaet sitting in the audience, the thing is, how do we start our lesson, that history lesson, how do we start and take the difference in our classroom as a starting point. And then we don't teach for a subject resistance in the Second World War. Then I start with resistance. What is resistance? For you, for you, for you. What makes resistance acceptable? What does history teach us about resistance? And then you can turn to resistance in the Second World War, as well as you can turn to resistance, forms of resistance, or terrorism, whatever you want, like ISIS and other. It's how do we take in our schools the diversity as a starting point? And it is something that I can do from a Catholic point of view. I don't have to put myself aside. I don't have to leave my religious token at the door before we can start talking. Why should we? It's an advantage that people know what I stand for. So, we think connection is a word, we've heard it on several occasions today. Binding, connection between people, and through that connection I can feel myself safe. It makes me feel safe. And only when I feel safe, I can feel that I'm a part of this society. And being a part of this, feeling that I can be a part, makes me contribute. Contribute the way that I am, with my identity. And that is not what we are giving often to a lot of the students in our schools. They do not feel comfortable. We react, remember the iceberg? We react to a certain way of conduct. We hear them speak French and we say, punish. We don't look at the needs. I thought of the thing, we are here today, and this morning our chair lady said, we are going to do this in English all day. Now just imagine, ladies and gentlemen, that at coffee break we were obliged to continue in English, and that at lunchtime we continue in English, and that up till the end of the reception we will be obliged to do that in English unless we will be punished. That is very hard. We have all been to congresses, etc., where in the evening, at the end, a complete day in English or French, whatever, we are happy to be in our hotel room, to take the phone and to speak Dutch to whoever we are calling. And let's take the child into consideration. Let's look at the need of the child. That's what we try to do. That's what I believe in, at least. And I hope that my boss, Lieven Boeven, does too, because otherwise I do have a problem. So, I'm always, yes, I'm at the end. Identity is layered, it is complex, it is dynamic, and that means that our dialogue is in the simple present. We often hope, I know from experience, that school leaders hope that the dialogue is in the past perfect. That for once and for all, we are going to settle things. That's impossible. It's something that starts over and over again. So it is a process, it is not a label. And, well, that's it. I thank you for your attention.